What's up, everybody? Welcome back. All About Comics. JP with you tonight. No Pope Grimey, but I got a different co-host tonight. Tonight I got Andy. How are you doing tonight, man?
Good, man. Good. How about you?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to have you on the show tonight. Just kind of an impromptu little get-together we arranged. So hopefully some people come out and watch. I know there's not a whole lot going on in YouTube land tonight since it's I guess it's still a holiday, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Everybody's recovering today.
Yeah, everyone's in recovery mode. I just got through watching C. Woodard 19's live show, and I think everyone's kind of in the same boat. I was a good boy last night and don't have any regrets. I had dinner with my two sisters, and we went and visited my father, and that was it. That was my night.
I was on the fence out early. Get feeling right and get done by about 10 o'clock, so not feeling a hangover too bad right now.
Well, hey, that's good, man. You got it going on. Speaking of having it going on, so tonight we're going to talk about some hot indie books, in our opinion, that are out right now, coming out in the future, and kind of what 2019 looks for, at least from our perspective of what the indie market looks like. So if you guys aren't familiar with Andy, I put his link down below. He writes an amazing article for CBSI called the Indie Spotlight, and that's how I first came in, I guess, contact with you, because we have very similar tastes when it comes to books that we're, I would say, maybe specking on or just looking to read. I'm a reader more than a speculator. I can't use the word, but so I just really enjoy finding great stories to read and something to promote and things of that nature. And so far, like, just following when I first started following your article, because it comes out weekly, just for those who don't know, I was like, oh my gosh, she's reading the same thing I'm doing. And the thing that really, I guess, got my attention was it looks like you're actually reading these books. You're not just throwing out covers for, oh, this is a hot cover, pick this book up. You're like, this is a great story. It might go somewhere.
Yeah. That's a big part of CBSI, just the hot book or the speculation, what you're going for. I mean, it's everything. It's reviewing the book. It's knowing what you're talking about. We got a good group of guys over there, and we all kind of, like I say, try and stay in our genre and get it knocked out. But yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's something that I like doing. Like you say, indie books are great. I mean, it's always looking for the next great story. There's a lot of stories that are out there. I mean, it's not typical, off the beaten path a little bit, and I think that's kind of what the draw is, almost the underdog feel, so to speak, sometimes.
Well, that was definitely my draw to it. Was I guess I'm always rooting for the Browns. I'm always rooting for the people that, I think it all started for me back in the 90s when the New England Patriots were terrible, and they were the worst team that played football, and I was like, yeah, I want to go for that team. And I've always been kind of that way ever since I was a kid. I always want to root for someone who's just not well known or hasn't really got the breaks in life or what have you.
Yeah,
and you look at these sale reports every month from Comic Tron or whatever, and you see these Marvel and DC. They got, I mean, if you take the pie and slice it, it's the same every month. It's always the same percentage of everybody. And if we can somehow influence the needle just a little bit in the indie world, I feel like I'm doing my job.
That's right. That's kind of the same thing I'm doing. I mean, I think me and you are both on the same page of just bringing awareness to it. I mean, some of these guys, they don't have the platforms that a Marvel or DC has to get out there and promote their product. Or a lot of the local comic shops won't take the chance on ordering some of the smaller titles just because they may sit on the shelf. So it's a big part of if you want to support the indie comics. I mean, go to your LCS and tell them, hey, look, this is what I want. It's tough for those guys to compete against the Marvels and DC. And anything me and you can do to help them, that's kind of what I'm doing.
Well, and then you throw in the collector aspect, and a lot of these indie books are so low on print runs that you're not going to find a lot of them on the secondary market. We'll just take case in point. Knights of the Golden Sun, for example. This is issue 1, right? I mean, everyone knows. I mean, there's not that many of them floating around.
No.
And if you do get your happen to stumble across eBay or something, they're 15, 20, $30. It's not the seller knows what he has at this point, because you have to purposely seek out that book. It isn't like you said. It's not you're gonna not walk into Barnes and Nobles and see it on the shelf. You're not gonna see it like that.
No. And that's at eBay and search for something, and you see 5 of them on there. Is it? I mean, that right there. And it's a rare book, and people want it, so that drives the price up on them, and that's the thing about the indies for sure.
Well, and you throw in, we both know this is a great story. I've sent a few of these copies out because I picked up extras. I sent a couple out to other people in the YouTube community that didn't get it and didn't want to, just hook them up or whatever so they can read it.
Yep.
And not one person has said really didn't like it. No,
I haven't heard that one time. I mean, this is one of those stories too. It's you haven't seen it before. Nobody's really taken this type of story on, bridging that gap. And I mean, it's Mark London. He's a talented guy over there at Mad Cave. I mean, he's spot on with his stuff. And then you throw Mauricio Villarreal in there with him on the artwork. And I mean, it's that guy. This is his first work in comics. And so, I mean, I think that even puts a whole new element on that book itself, just with the quality of work he does. I mean, that could be one to hold for a while, so that's a good one.
Well, it's definitely got future potential, as much as it's in the vein of, religious undertones or whatever. It's not what the book is about. It's not about pushing a belief one way or the other. It's just a story, and the story is pretty badass. And it hasn't been touched on, like you said, because it's kind of one of those. I don't think a lot of people have the balls to touch that subject in comics because, Marvel's not going to touch it. I promise you. DC's not going to touch it. I promise you.
You're right. I mean, that's something that it's almost like it's perfect for those guys right there. I mean. They're kind of groundbreaking, and it's good, man. I'm telling you, if you haven't read it, go try and find it. I don't know what the best thing to do. Mad Cave's a good bunch of guys. I know I've had a couple guys that have reached out to them, and man, next thing you know, they've got books coming your way. So if not, they can sometimes get with your LCS and get you what you need coming. So. It might be worth it. Just reach out to them and tell them you're supporting them anyway. So it's good to hear. And I know a lot of the indie books you see, they tend to go up fast and right back down to earth on the speculation market. And this is one of those ones that, like I say, it seems to have the staying power. I mean, it's kind of steady, got that slow burn where it's had 2 sales a day alone of a $29 and a $39 sale. So it's a book people are looking for, and a hard one to find.
And for those who are into the harder to find stuff, there is a variant that wasn't announced. At least it wasn't announced that I knew about it, and it's by the amazing Vanessa Del Rey. And I saw a couple of those out there as well, and they're in that $30 range. Only 750 printed.
And that's a version cover too, from what I remember. Right? It's totally. There's nothing on it but artwork.
It's a virgin cover for sure. It's just straight up dude getting choked out by an angel.
Yeah, it's. I'm telling you, it's a good one. That's one that a lot of people, if you haven't heard about it, check it out for sure.
And then I guess piggybacking off of that, issue 2 comes out tomorrow.
Yeah. That's I got a shot to read that one, courtesy of Mad Cave, and I'm gonna tell you, you won't be disappointed. It just gets better and better, more twists, more turns, and the artwork is just, like I say, I'm blown away by it. That guy is he's really on fire with it for sure. There's no doubt. And I saw, I think one popped up on eBay for about 5 minutes and was gone for like $8 already. So I mean, that's going to be another one people are looking hard to find.
Well, and I mean, I've been looking on eBay all week to see if there was any pre-orders, anything that pop up like that. I've been on Midtown, nothing from Midtown. The only thing Midtown has, you can pre-order number 5. It used to be you could pre-order 4 and 5. Now it's just 5. So it kind of gives you an idea of there's not going to be a lot of these out there. Normally with any comic book, you can go to eBay and there's always some pre-orders of something, but there's been no pre-orders. I've been looking for at least a pulse on it for the past month. I mean, obviously I missed the one you're talking about because I mean, if it was up for 5 minutes, I missed it, right? So thankfully, I have a shop up in Wisconsin. I live in Texas, so I have a shop in Wisconsin that I do some mail ordering through because I don't have any shops near me, like 2 hours probably. So me going to the shop tomorrow is going to be probably difficult to find. There's one small shot in the dark that I could maybe give them a call and see if they have it, but I don't have that relationship with them because they're not my LCS, But all the other issues I have pre-ordered myself. I just missed number 2 because you know how that cutoff is when you're pre-ordering.
Yeah.
If you pre-order number 1, but you don't do number 2 because you don't know what number 1's going to be like. You don't want to keep, just like shops. Shops do the same thing. That's why issues 2 and below sometimes have terrible print runs, really low print runs, because they're not taking that gamble. They can't take that gamble with their money. I mean, I've listened to. I worked for a comic shop when I was younger, in my 20s, and I did all this stuff for him. I took the calls from Diamond. I did all these things, and when you're a small shop, you literally have to order what your customer wants, and maybe a few extra for the shelf.
Yep, and that's what makes that indie world so tough. Finding those books. It's tough, like you say. When that owner's got a certain crowd in there, and that's what they want, he's got to order to that crowd, and it makes it tough on the indie guys. But that number 2, yeah, like you say, it's gonna be hard to find for sure.
So really quick, Barbarian Kung Fu wants to know if we can kind of repeat what we were talking about. He stepped away. So yeah, basically right now we're just talking about Knights of the Golden Sun. Issue 2 comes out tomorrow, and there's also this is number 1, and there's a hard to find variant of number 1. You can find a couple. I just got one on eBay myself. There's only 750 printed. It's a Vanessa Del Rey cover, which is absolutely beautiful. If you know her work, she is absolutely sick. But anyways,
it's unreal. It's a pretty cover.
Yeah, so anyways, I try every opportunity I get, and when Pope and I do our live show and everything on Thursday nights, and I always try to encourage everyone. Most LCSs, if you have a pull list with them, they'll give you a free previews. Almost 99% of them that I've ever experienced, every one of them.
Yep.
But I get the digital copy because they just email it to me. So if you just go in. And I go through every page. I'm not kidding. I go through every page of the indie section, looking for something that is going to be missed, for this community. I feel like my job, because it's my passion, is to get the word out there for these indie books. Just like, if you guys are just jumping on, there's a link in the description below for Andy. He writes an amazing article for CBSI called Indie Spotlight, and that's kind of how he and I connected. And got to know each other a little bit through our same likes of books. And, I just encourage you guys. It's weekly. He does a great job of breaking down, what's a good story, what's going to be a potential hot book. And, he's been on the mark. We've talked about Ogre. We've talked about Knights of the Golden Sun. I mean, those books have done pretty well in the secondary market as far as, if that's what your thing is.
Thank you. That's kind of words. Like I say, you pretty much do the same thing I do. It's all about just bringing awareness. Like I say, a lot of people don't really know what's coming out week to week, and if you can enlighten them and get them looking for it, it's a good thing. Everybody wants a good story, and there's a lot of them out there in the independent world. I tell you, there's a lot of them.
So besides Knights of the Golden Sun, which we're not paid by them as much as we talk about them. I just want to be, we have, we visited with Mad Cave, and I'm at some point going to get Mark London on the show to talk about his books once he kind of settles down. He's a one-man machine, so.
He is.
No. But you got, I know you got some books coming out tomorrow you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, no, there's some good stuff coming out tomorrow. I don't know, it's a book that's kind of off of the radar, a title that's kind of off the radar. It's called Project Superpowers. It's basically a throwback to the golden age superhero, and kind of even brings a couple back from that age. And it's a really, really good series if you're into that type of thing. The hidden gem on that series is Francesco Mattina. He does a lot of the artwork on the covers. And this week he's got a 1 in 10 variant coming out. That it's just, in my mind, it's one of the best he's done so far. It's just like I say, it's a virgin variant, just a black and blue cover, and it's sick. It's right up there with all his best. There's a lot of good stuff. I mean, I know you had done a post on the Empty Man series. And Empty Man 3 comes out this week. It's a horror series by Cullen Bunn. It's a good one. It's if you're into horror stuff, that's one you should be on. Middle West. I don't know if you've done a lot reading on that one yet. But
I have issue 1 and issue 2 is ordered.
I'm telling you,
it's a great story.
Yeah, it's a great story. 1 kind of didn't really grab me and go, this is it, But number 2, I'm telling you, it puts more of the elements together. There's a second print coming out with different cover art for number 1 this week. I'm a sucker for the second prints that have different cover art on them. I don't know.
Same.
It's a lot of people look for the rarer books, and sometimes, a lot of the times, those are the rare ones. So it's something I like. I do a lot of the second prints with different cover art collecting.
Have you had a chance to read Blood Realm from?
I have.
What do you think of that? See, I missed the boat on that one.
I love it, man. It's one of those books that it tells such a simple story, and the artwork is just so simple, but it all goes together. I don't want to ruin it because it's so good. I mean, it's basically about this other realm, though. It's under attack, and you got to read it. I don't want to really mess it up, but the artwork in it is the thing to pay attention to. It's just, it wouldn't work with any other book, but with that book, it's like, man, it's perfect. It just paints a picture in your head that you go wild on. And he's that guy, Robert Geronimo, that does that series. He's a really cool guy. I've reached out to him a couple times, and man, everything I've ever asked him for, he comes right back with an answer for, and he's good. He's very talented for sure. I know there's a spinoff series of that coming next, and it's coming, I think, late January, early February. It's called Shadow Kingdom is what the name of that one is. And it'll be another mini series, and it's just building off the first one. And so definitely check that one out for sure.
Yeah, that's Alterna Press. I mean, I've literally have, like, there's no shops around me that carry their stuff.
Nothing. They're hard to find, dude. Very hard to find.
I was kind of went to their site the other day, just trying to like get a pulse of them, and it was kind of interesting. I actually went on a rabbit hole of looking at their qualifications for what you have to do to submit an idea or submit a book, and I was just like, holy crap, they're very thorough. Like, it's literally, you need to have your own book already, then we'll maybe publish it for you. And I was like, oh, okay.
They're one of the ones that I think they're trying to change stuff up a little bit. They've got some newsprint stuff coming.
Yeah.
It's I'm anxious to see how it goes. I mean, you sold me right off the rip when you give me a great story for $1.50.
Mm-hmm.
All of their books are $1.50 cover price. I know the new book that came out, I think it was either last week or the week before, Feast or Famine. that book sold out quick. I mean, there may be one or two on eBay now. I know they had dried up at one point, and they were like a $5 or $6 book, And I think the draw on them is just they're good stories, and they're so scarce that if you can find them, you're almost crazy not to pick them up for $1.50, $3, $5.
Well, and I think with the Feast or Famine, don't they have a little movie or TV buzz or something going on with that?
There's something, I don't know. I've tried to nail it down a little bit more, but I can't find anything concrete on it. But yeah, there's definitely some buzz going around that one for sure. And I know they just had one optioned Trespass, or was just optioned for alternative.
Okay, that was the one that was optioned. Then I think they were thinking down the next one was going to be Feast or Famine. I think is what the conversation I saw.
Yeah, there's a couple of them that they've. I mean, you hear the rumors. I mean, there's a couple of them that they've got in the pipe or whatnot. But yeah, I think it's just a matter of time before everybody catches on to the Alterna train. And like you say, the hard part though is finding them.
Yeah.
If you can find them, pick them up, because I know everybody else that sees them, they're grabbing them for sure.
I'm gonna hit up the chat really quick and see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. A few shout outs. I think I already talked about Barbarian Kung Fu. We got Beyond the Blast Doors, John's Comics with Kids, Big Lion Cat, Ruben Nieves, Manny the Comic Collector. He was bringing up a book earlier. Fish Tropic, what's going on?
Manny's a good guy.
Yeah, he is. I see him a lot lately. Mr. Gretzky, he was the first one in the chat. Let's see who else we got here. Great Legend, thank you very much for joining us tonight, being my moderator. Count Von Strange, welcome. Pocan Joe just popped in. Poor Man's Comics. If you like collections, man, you need to check out Poor Man's Comics over on Instagram.
Yeah,
he's got a crazy collection. Comic Spectre, Seawater 19. Thank you all for popping over here on this random night. You got it's like a new person here. Marvel Joe 67, welcome. And Tomcat, hello from the UK, welcome, man. I'm curious, like, speaking of the UK, like, how many of these? Sorry, many of the collectors said there's signed copies of 1 and 2 still available at Blood Realm.
Oh yeah, Robert Strong. If you go to his Instagram and click the link in his bio, he's got signed, and they are first prints too.
Oh, nice. There you go, guys. There's a spec book.
Right.
You got who was it? Oh shit. Poor Man. Yeah, he's in here. Oh, Tomcat. Yeah, he said hello from the UK. I'm curious how many of these indie books make it over that far. Like, because when we talk about print runs and stuff, like, there's only 3,000 copies of Ogre number 1, 2, 3, for example. Do they get even less, over in the UK and because I'm curious about that.
I don't know. I would think not many of them make it over that way. So I don't know. Hopefully he can let us know about that. But
well, I would assume they have the same process, right? They all have to go through previews, and the shops have to order the same. I'm assuming they have diamond. I don't even know. I guess I don't know how this all works in different countries. I've never thought about it.
I don't either. Good question. You brought up a good point.
I'll have to reach out to Diamond sometime and see how their process works.
Yeah,
I know.
No doubt. I'd like to know that for sure.
How
about the Conspiracy of the Illuminati? Did you read that one?
I read issue 1. Well, it's not really a series though, right? It's like a one shot.
I don't know. I'm hoping for more, because I'm telling you that.
Well, there's another issue, but it's called. I think it's maybe a series broken down, because the first one is Conspiracy Illuminati. The next one is Conspiracy. I think it's just all different conspiracy theories, right?
All right. So, is that what it is? I have a lot of trouble getting a straight answer out of the Zemiscope or any of those.
That is how I've taken it from what I've seen. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But.
Well, that's disappointing. I will say that, because if they could keep on rolling with that one, I think it'd be pretty good.
Manny says, "Happy New Year, Andy."
Tell him I said the same. It's he's a good dude. I've got some really good supporters over there that like I say, him, Nas, Casino. Like I say, I got I got a good crowd over there, and I'm happy to help out where I can, and like I say, just make everybody aware. I mean, that's the main thing. It's the hardest thing and I think that's kind of what got me into it was I'd go to the comic shops and I'd be lost. Like I wouldn't know what I needed to be looking for or anything. And so like I had to start doing my research, and once I did, I kind of got a rhythm to it. There's a lot of these small publishers that, man, you just got to go kind of straight to them, and that's it's. I hate that it's like that because I wish all the local comic shops would carry everything, but it's just not feasible, So
Yeah.
the more you reach out to the publishers and the more you get your LCS to reach out to the publishers, the better shot you got of finding what you're looking for in your shop every week.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting point there is like Source Point Press, for example. You can buy directly from them.
Yep.
And this is kind of interesting to me is I just picked up the Viking Queen one shot.
Yeah.
It's just because it looks, the art style was, to me, it's kind of reminiscent of Ogre a little bit, and I'm kind of on the Source Point Press train right now. So
you're not alone, my friend. They're doing some good stuff over there.
But then I noticed in previews this month, the Viking Queen is in previews for this issue that came out this week. So I'm like, so what is this going to look like for March, right? Because this comes out in March. So is this? I mean, it's the same book. They're marketing it's the one shot. It's
you got it. You're just ahead of the ball game is the way I look at it on that, because it's the same thing as basically Rags 2 or Rags second print #1. Okay, it hits this week with all the main distributors, with Midtown and the comic shops like that, because they've ordered through Diamond. Okay, some of the smaller shops, they go right ahead, order through Antarctic Press. If they get their orders in early, they're sitting there a month beforehand with their books, So it's the indie world's tough. I'll say that, it's definitely not as cut and dry as the DC and Marvel universe.
Well, yeah, that's and we know that there was a whole bunch of controversy with Rags and all that stuff, and I'm not going to really dive into that too much, but you're talking about, again, I tell people that they want to spec on books, spec on the Antarctic Press books, because you know what you're getting as far as a print run and established. The Patreon stuff, I'm a Patreon member of Rags. I have been from the get-go. They've always been open and honest with us of what they're doing, and I don't care because I'm just reading it for the story and getting a cool cover like this Patreon sleeping variant, I don't care, but at the same time, people are going to speculate on hard to get books. It's just the nature of the beast.
And Brian, I think they got a lot of that stuff cleared up. I know they had a big video there with Comic Tom and Key Collector, and I'm glad they got all that stuff settled. Brian's he's a good guy, man. I've talked to him several times, and he's one of those guys that, I mean, like anybody, anybody would have got caught up in that whirlwind when Rags goes from nothing to just through the roof like that. And he's one of those guys that he wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's going to go for what he thinks is right or wrong, whether it be right or wrong. But now he's kind of backed up and admitted he was off in some spots, and I'm glad everything's working out for him, because he's got a good book, and if he can just concentrate on being able to write it and keep it going, he may have something special there for sure.
Yeah, and we had him on about a month ago or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And they were, I think, having a conversation behind the scenes as well as on chat or live. But the thing, my biggest takeaway is those guys aren't comic book guys. They weren't bred and molded like growing up in the industry. It's a crazy market, and when you do something like the way they did it as just a drunken idea and just playing video games, hey, let's throw a comic book out there, and it takes off. I couldn't even imagine, like, especially if you don't have the mentality or the know-how of, oh shit, how do we handle this, right?
That's tough, and I couldn't imagine that.
Barbarian Kung Fu wants to know if he can get a copy of Rags #1 at cover price. The second print, you said, comes out tomorrow?
The second print comes out tomorrow. And I want to say, if you can't find it at your LCS, I'll check real quick on my phone. I want to say you can still get them at Anarch Press site. I know they're going to a third print too. Yep. So yeah, I mean, you will be able to get your copy of Rags at cover price for sure coming up.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You know, when we chatted with them, basically they're the first book in 20 years of Anarch Press to go to second and third printing.
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy. That tells you something, guys. I mean, this.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that speaks for like almost like the indie market as a whole. I mean, we've seen that a lot more here over the past year than I can recall really ever seeing this. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I haven't been around for a long time, and I may be wrong, but I mean, we've seen several of these small print, like just companies, like take for example Riptide over there at Red 5. Their first print, I mean, it went quick, sold out. And I mean, that's a great book. I mean, you look at what Source Point's doing with the Rejected over there. They ran another print. I mean, you've got a lot of paying attention to the indie world.
The Katie Cook variant for the variant, but the cover for second print #1.
Ogre.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. But again, you know, 3,000 copies for Ogre 1, 2, and 3. And they sold out every time to go into the second. I mean, that's a phenomenal amount of copies for a small book. I lost you for a second. Are you frozen in time? Maybe he'll be back. Yeah. So I'll take a moment here for the chat while we wait on him. Gorilla Todd, welcome to the chat tonight. Make sure you guys take the chance to sub each other up. Show yourselves some love to one another. Are you back? Not back.
Yeah.
There you are. Maybe. I don't know. The Rags guy is frozen.
Sorry about that.
Is that your internet? Yeah, you're like super choppy.
Back.
Sort of. You keep cutting in and out, but
I must be. Hold on one sec here.
All right. No worries. I'm going to talk to the chat while you're doing your thing. All right. I'll have to check out Barbarian Kung Fu, man. You got a whole minute video posted, so make sure you guys go over and check it out. I also want to take the chance, all of you guys who bought the Comics and Cold Ones box on eBay, they'll be shipping out tomorrow, and there are still 5 available if you guys are interested. There's a link in the bio, a link in the description. Check it out. There's 5 boxes left of this round. So I appreciate the support so far. You guys are going to get some great books. Pretty freaking sweet that, you know, I handpicked all of them for those. You got signed books, key books, independent books, hot books, variants. So they all ship out tomorrow. The ones have already been done up. So I appreciate your patience on that with the holiday. So Andy's going to try and get back in just a moment. So in the meantime, you guys will be talking to me. Yeah, I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. I know it's kind of a random thing to do on I don't even know what day it is. Tuesday, I think. So yeah, I don't know if there's any other live shows tonight, and if there is, I apologize. But I wanted to take the chance to hang out and talk some cool indie books with Andy tonight. So
back.
Yeah, you're back. Hey.
I had to get my IT girl in here to work on that. I don't know what.
Yeah, it's like really, you're like a robot now. You're super choppy.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
My internet is not working.
All right. Well, so I hope everyone had a great New Year's. And you know, Happy New Year's to all those. Yeah, the Matrix got him. They took him in and said, "You're not going to talk about any more indie books. We don't want to get the cat out of the bag." I will talk a little bit here. Coming out down the road. So for us, we got an auction coming up on next Wednesday, the January 9th. Will be our first auction of 2019. We're going to a bi-weekly schedule. So those who are interested in auctions, just let you know. But some of the books I wanted to talk about tonight with Andy, and if he gets back in, it'd be great. But there's another small publishing company coming out with their first book. It is called, well, the publishing company is called Cave Pictures Publishing. They have a book. They're doing a comic book adaptation of a novel called The Light Princess, and it's going to be written by Meredith Finch. You guys know her. She did some cool books over for Image and stuff, and wrote Wonder Woman for a while with her husband doing art. Hey, you back?
I think so.
Now you sound better.
Well, we'll go with this. I don't know. We're having some service problems around here in Charleston, South Carolina tonight.
Well, you know what? I went through a couple weeks here, like for whatever reason. I mean, I've had the same service. Nothing has changed, and there was 2 weeks in a row where I couldn't. Like, it kept throwing me off. It was just kicking me off because it was too busy. I'm like, look, there's 700 people that live in this town. I'm probably 30% of the internet service is me. You're froze again. Frozen in time. Well, anyways, that's just one book that I can think of down the road that I think you guys might be interested in learning more about, checking it out. Order it from your LCS before the final order cutoff. Issue 2 is in this month's previews, as well as their new title called The Blessed Machine, The Blessed Machine. So check that out. If you guys want to speculate on some indie books, there you go. Also, there's another. So I went through all the previews already. So I'm just giving you guys some of my hot points that I think are going to be some good books to look for coming out in March. I know it's kind of down the road, but with these indie books, you got to be on top of the game, or you're going to be behind the game. So since we're talking about Source Point Press, and hopefully Andy can pop back in and we can talk about this, but you got free comic book month, or free comic book orders are in. Now, I don't know if they're changing the date. I always thought it was in May. Maybe someone can help me out there. But in this month's preview, they have all the free comic book day books that they're offering to order. I really don't know how it works. But that being said, Source Point Press has a new book coming out called Hope. Looks really enticing. I can't wait to learn more about the story. Definitely going to hit up the free comic book day copy. And then it's written by Dirk Manning, who, if you guys are familiar with the indie scene, he's written a few books out there. So check that out. Image has a new book coming out in March called Little Bird. It looks pretty creepy. So make sure if you're into that stuff. Hey, what's up? Different background. Maybe.
How about it? Is it better?
Yeah.
All right.
You're there.
All right. We'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot. I was just talking a little bit about stuff coming out down the pipeline. Like, have you seen the preview yet for Little Bird from Image?
Yes, I did. I glanced across it. It's definitely one I'll be picking up. I can say that. I mean, it's one of those ones that it fits the bill. So we'll see.
Yeah, it looks kind of creepy. I don't really know much about the story, but I went ahead and ordered it. Yeah,
I'm right.
There's another book. I think it may come out tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. You can probably elaborate. Sharky the Bounty Hunter.
Sharky the Bounty Hunter.
Is that maybe later on?
It's not ringing a bell it is ringing a bell. I don't know if it's tomorrow or next week.
Okay.
It is ringing a bell for sure.
Hey, check that out. It looks interesting. Issue 2 is coming out in March, so it may not even be out until February. But
okay,
I get so wonky with, like, you get your previews and they you're ordering for 2 months ahead, right? I think that's how it works.
Oh, yeah, I know how it goes. I know how it goes. That's a tough deal ordering like that, and that's why I definitely feel the comic shop owner's pain on that for sure. I know there's a good one coming out that I've been reading. I don't know if you've been on it. The Whispering Dark.
Oh yeah.
Dark Horse Comics. Man, that's a good one. That's one that'll make you think and scare the hell out of you too, for sure.
I'm a little behind because like I said, they ship my books once a month. So
Right.
the guy messaged me literally this weekend and says, "I got 2 months worth of books. You want me to ship them?" I'm like, "That was the whole deal, man." I'm like, "Yeah."
Yes, definitely. Well, that's a good one for sure. Like I say, it's on issue 3 right now, coming out tomorrow, and it's a good one. If you like horror stories, it's kind of like a faith-based one. Like it's that genre. It's good though. Definitely worth checking out.
So while you're off, I was talking about Source Point Press has a new book coming out in March called Hope. It's their free comic book day book.
Yeah, that looks good. I'm anxious to see that. For sure.
Yeah, that one's definitely on my radar. I don't know if they let us as consumers order the free comic book day books, but I'm gonna try.
I'm gonna pull every stop for sure on that one. Source Point, man, they've got it together over there for sure. They've got some talented writers. The guy that does the whole thing over there, Travis McIntyre, he's a really good guy, really easy to work with. And they've, like I say, they got some phenomenal writers. Bob, Sally over there for sure. And they've got a new Viking series coming. I know you're into the Vikings hard. It's called Cirrus from KCD Writes, and Bob was talking about her a little bit. She's got it together. She's very good. I know helped with the Kickstarter campaign they had on that one. And Source Point, they've got all the elements right there. They just got to keep it
I
going.
did support the Kickstarter. Now that you said that, I was like, that rings a bell. I did do the Kickstarter.
Yeah, she's good. She's got it together. Like I say, a lot of those writers over there. I know that Day 165, that was a good one over there too. They've got some good stuff going for sure.
We got another shout out in the chat from AKA Mr. Bolo. Says you represent the CBSI folks really well.
Oh yeah, that's Jack. He's the man. He's the Instagram guru. He runs all the stuff with CBSI over there on the Instagram side.
Oh, okay.
He puts out that Bolo list every week that everybody looks at. Tells all the first appearances, all of that stuff, and that's what I say, man. CBSI. If you're looking for just a wealth of information over there about everything in the comic industry, they've got it, man. Ben and C is the guy that runs it, and man, he's first class everything about him. So
yeah, I don't want to say I'm a shadow member. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't really do I'm a member on there, but I'm just there for the articles. You know.
All right, we like that. I mean, that's why we're there. I mean, we're there to like I say, spread the word and try and help everybody out in this industry. I mean, it's everybody's one big family in this industry. Like you say, it's a lot of working together.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be, you know, and that's one thing that I stress and Pope and I stress is we're all about the community, whether it's on YouTube. I'm bigger into Instagram. You know, I like Instagram a lot. I think it's pretty cool that you can connect with people and just post cool books and pics. And
I'm right there with you on Instagram. That's I'm kind of new to it, and we have a G Plus page with CBSI, and now that's kind of getting taken away. The G Plus is shutting down altogether. So we've got some new places to go for if you're looking for that forum type deal. They've got a new CBSI MeWe account. Like I say, I'm kind of new to all this stuff, so I have an account, but have I used it? Not yet, but I'm working that way for sure.
I have a Google Plus account and I have no idea. Sometimes I'll just like post something on there, I have no idea where it goes. Like I don't know who sees it or anything.
Yep. It can get confusing for sure. Technology, it'll get you.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you go through the description right now, you'll see all my social media. I got obviously Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. I have a Facebook page for All About Comics. Yeah, it can get a little crazy, and I just kind of.
You're doing good to keep up with all that. That's about 10 too many for me. I got about good.
Yeah, it's just and it was really interesting, about the comic book. Each one of those is something different. The Facebook people don't really do YouTube. I
Right.
learned that. Like, I'll post videos, and like literally no one on Facebook gives two craps about what I got going on YouTube.
Yeah.
Then you go to Instagram, and it's a different community over there as well. I did draw some people over from Instagram when I did my 1,000 follower giveaway, but I did it on YouTube to try and get some Instagram people over to YouTube just so they can see this world.
Right. You're right. It's a whole different world in every social media aspect. It's a whole new crowd, and I'll have to say Instagram. I definitely like it. It's a lot of good people sharing a lot of good information for sure.
What's up, Silver Age Dave? He said, just YouTube here. And yeah, I mean, again, a lot of people that I know are just YouTube. This community was my first, I guess, step into social media comic books, I guess, because I never, I came across a haul video on YouTube one time about a year and a half ago, and I was like, I have comic books, I could do that. That was kind of my thing.
Yeah.
But then you gotta find your own niche, I guess. And
That's right.
For me, it's indie books. It's always been indie books ever since I was a wee lad getting my comic books out of a trunk of a car at a gas station. The guy, that's how we bought our comics in backwoods Texas. That's how we did it.
I'm right there with you, man. Like I said, it's like we talked about earlier. It's kind of like the underdog story. The heck with Marvel and DC. Give me the guy that nobody said make it, and you'd be surprised the quality of stories that you find in the indie world right now.
Well, it is true. Like it's been that way, I guess, forever. Just there hasn't been a platform like social media to bring that to people's attention, in the past. I mean, I always tell people my very first comic book I ever bought was Deadpool: The Circle Chase #1, 1993. I know because I didn't like superheroes, right? I didn't read X-Men. I wasn't interested. But I was like, here's a guy who looks kind of like a ninja. And I was really into ninjas. I mean, I was a 90s kid who wasn't into ninjas. Yeah, my first indie book was Dark Horse Presents. I can't remember. I can't remember the number, but it was one of the first appearance of a character named X. Like the X over his eye, and he was just like this ninja.
I remember it.
Ninja character.
My first indie book to this day, and it was Supreme #1, and from Image. And man, I don't know. It was I liked it. It was one of those ones that I just kind of jumped out to.
Poor Man's Comics says he went from YouTube to Instagram, and now he's lost so much money buying more stuff he didn't need.
I think we can all attest to that. Oh man, I'll tell you, I've recently been using the Key Collector app a little bit too much, so I know how that goes too.
Yeah, that can take you down a whole other rabbit hole, man.
Yes, it can. He's got a good deal there for sure. Nick's a good guy for sure.
And let's see, do you have any other books coming out you want to talk about?
No, there's I know as I went to college in like early 2000s, right in there. Halo was a staple, playing Halo video game. I know they've got a series coming out again this Wednesday. Lone Wolf, I think, is the name of it, from Dark Horse. That's one you might want to check out if you're into that. But yeah, I mean, I think we've pretty much hit on them. Nice 2 also comes out this Wednesday. That's I cannot remember the publisher right now. It was saved my life. I had to walk away from my paper to get my computer to work here. So,
what was the title?
Nice #2. Nice.
Yeah,
the first one was it did pretty well. I honestly, I don't have a copy. Didn't get to read the story, but heard a lot of good things about it. If I could find one for cheap, I'd buy it, but I can't. So that's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah, the things I talked about while you were gone was well, I don't think I talked about the stuff coming out in March per se. I touched on Light Princess with Meredith Finch, Sharky the Bounty Hunter, Lazarus Risen #1 comes out and from Image in March. So if you guys are familiar with the first Lazarus story, it was amazing. It's going to be a TV series, I believe. But anyway,
2019. I know that a lot of people are looking forward to the new kind of reboot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's kind of a little a la Sabrina reboot there. I know Sabrina's doing really good on the Netflix right now. I definitely I'll watch it. It's good. If you're not, you need to give it a shot. But I'm anxious to see what they do with that. It's going from Dark Horse to Boom, I want to say, is who's doing it now, and they promised to kind of give her a new twist, a new whole new dimension there. So that'll be good. I know also coming is the series from Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillip, Criminal. That's like a series that had a big following back around 2007, right in there. They won an Eisner Award actually for the title. That one's coming back around. It kind of just went on a sudden hiatus. Nobody really knew why or anything. I think they kind of both had some projects that they were going to other than that, and that's what happened. But that one's coming back, and it's going to be a double-sized first issue coming right there in January. So that one, that's definitely one to watch out for.
Speaking of Sabrina, so the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, there isn't a whole lot of them out there. I'm gonna give a quick shout out though. My buddy, my co-host Pope Grimey, he hooked me up with this beautiful #7.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Yeah, love this cover. But
that's a good show, man. I'm loving it.
I'm a fan. I was a fan of the comic book series. But the show I thought really was fantastic, and I can't wait for season 2 in April.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. They did a little holiday special episode there, not right there around the holidays. That was good. I'm definitely ready, and I heard they've signed on already for the 3rd and 4th season too. So
well, see, there's a little confusion with that because they say seasons, but I think they're part 3 and part 4.
Oh, okay.
So I think they did it. It's kind of like have you ever seen The Ranch on Netflix?
Yes, I have.
So it's kind of like that, like how they do different parts.
Yes, my girlfriend hates that I watch that show.
That show's freaking hilarious, man. I don't care who you are. That show is funny.
I love it.
Like I don't think I would just sit there and laugh out loud over dumb stuff. Anytime you can hear Sam Elliott say "fuck" 100,000 times,
yes, it's great. I'm right there with you. That Brockmire, I'm stuck on Brockmire too. I don't know why on Netflix. If you ever want to watch a minor league baseball announcer a la Major League, yeah, check out Brockmire.
Brockmire. Huh. I haven't heard of that one. Let's see. Oh, yeah, we got. So there's a little website that I was talking to I had a hangout the other night with some YouTubers, and the website called Spartans Comics.
Okay.
And this dude, like, if you're into speculating, you can sometimes find a lot of good books that are dirt cheap because I think he just throws stuff up, man.
Really? Hey, I've seen that. If you were paying attention ago about 2 weeks ago, there was a Knights of the Golden Sun that came on eBay, sold for $3.99 cover price within about 2 minutes. It was on and off, but it was there.
Set your notifications. That's what I do for anything like
I'm right there.
Sabrina #8. There's there's certain ones I'm looking for. My buddy Pope also hooked me up with some Dead Rabbit here.
There you go. There you go.
You got
those sitting around.
You got those before you got them took off the shelf. Got me the Midtown.
Nice.
Exclusive, J. Scott Campbell.
He's definitely hooking you up on those for sure.
Oh man, we're always back and forth. I send him stuff like Ogre, things that he can't get in his shop. It's just again, as part of the community aspect. I'm not here to make a buck off anybody when it comes to the community.
That's right.
Do I flip stuff when I need to? Absolutely. That's just what you do sometimes when you need to. If you can, I always tell people, if you use the Key Collector app, for example, and you go in there and you find books, they're hot books, you get them for $1, you want to flip them and put money towards some bigger book you're trying to get yourself, there's nothing wrong with how you do it anyways. I don't care what you do with your comic book life, as long as you're having fun with it, you know?
That's right. That's right.
I found for me about a year ago, I was really, really big into speculating. I was big into flipping. It became a job. And once it became a job, it wasn't fun for me anymore. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to what I enjoy, and that's reading comics, reading indie books, and that's going to be my focus going forward. And that's what I've stuck with for the past year. Now, do I have silly moments where I got drunk on Halloween on my Halloween show and I bought Ghost Spider #1 variant 1 in 100? Sure, that happens.
I know how it goes. I know how it goes. Trust me, I'm right there with you.
And
right there with you.
You know, it is what it is. But
we all have moments. We all have moments.
I learned my lesson. I think I've only had 6 beers since Halloween. So, you know what?
Yeah. That one every time you need to see anything. Keep yourself in check.
Yeah, we got a book coming out, and it's a #0 book coming out in March called Obey Me. It looks like a horror title from Dynamite, and I'm not a huge Dynamite reader. I mean, that's just not always.
Yeah. I like some of their stuff. It's a very niche type of stuff, you know. I mean, they hit their marks on some things, and they have their fan base, and they love it. You know, it's just not for everybody on some things.
Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to.
Oh, you're good, man.
Make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat. So speaking of Sabrina, since I was talking about that, there's a new series coming out in March. It is not like this series. So I want to make sure people understand. It's called Sabrina the Teenage Witch. However, if you guys ever saw that amazing Adam Hughes cover that got, I guess, vetoed that he was doing for Archie Comics, and they decided not to use that cover, it will be a variant for the new #1 of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but it's not going to be the dark, gritty stuff. It's going to be more in the vein of Archie and that kind of stuff. So I will, of course, pick it up because I'm a fan of the character, and the Adam Hughes cover is probably one of the best covers he's done in a long time. And I'm a pretty big Adam Hughes fan, but some of the stuff is just kind of doesn't really strike a chord with me. Kind of like J. Scott Campbell. A lot of the stuff just looks kind of like repeat.
Right.
But you know, not knocking their craft. It's just, you know, my thing. But I do love his Sabrina cover. So if you guys get a chance to order that, pre-order it, whatever you got to do. I pre-ordered 5 copies of it myself, just because I know that someone's going to miss out. It's a C cover, so I don't know what their print run looks like over at Archie, but I'm sure it's not that high.
You wouldn't think with a C cover. It's hard to tell. I wonder sometimes how some companies do their ratios. I swear it's like every one of them does it different, from a B to C. You know, it all. I don't know. If somebody can find a good way of telling, please let me know.
Well, there's that Comic Cron, but that's always like
that's tough with indie books.
A month or 2 behind.
Yeah, and it's tough with indie books because, from what I understand, Comic-Con is just the number that runs through Diamond. It is not
true.
A number that runs through whatever publisher's website. So that's it kind of gives you it puts a whole new element on it in the indie comic world for sure. If you've got a direct outlet to the publishers, they're kind of the best ones that can tell you what the print run is, and sometimes they're not easy to get a hold of.
No, you know, I think that was the cool thing about having Bob Sally on. You know, last week, him and Sean, they basically just straight up said, "This is what the print run is."
Yeah,
and you don't get that very often.
No, those guys, I will say, Source Point and Mad Cave are probably the 2 easiest in the indie world to reach out to and get whatever. I mean, if you've got questions you need asked, they'll answer them. If you're looking for books, sometimes for somebody in your circle, they go above and beyond to help you out. Like I really can't say enough about Mad Cave and Source Point. They get it. They want to help get the word out about indie comics. So for some of the ones that don't, it's I hope they come around. If they can figure out that just communicating and helping let everybody know what's going on, I mean, it helps everybody. It helps them in the end. It's the bottom line.
Well, it's kind of like with we go back to Rags really quick, but like Rags #1 behind me there, there was only 700 of those printed by Antarctic Press.
Yeah.
So you guys want to know about staying power, and that's kind of where I want to segue here. Is for 2019, what books do you think for indie is going to have staying power? As far as like, I don't like to say investment because I don't think modern day is what you invest in. As a if you're going to invest in comic books, I think you need to go something that's going to be tried and true. And a true investment to me is something that's going to grow year after year, and that's not modern books in my opinion. But
yeah,
there's a few of them. Don't get me wrong, but
they're out there. I'll be honest with you. Staying power right now. I mean, if I had to pick the 3 books to have staying power, I mean, Rags is going to be in there. I mean, when you have a print run that minute in a story that is good, it's controversial for many reasons, and it just in the comic book world, that's what you look for. So I mean, that would be one. I know we've been talking about it a lot, but this Knights of the Golden Sun, I believe that's another one that's got the staying power. It's had the slow burn. It didn't really go up and then right back down. I mean, it's kind of just maintained or just been picking at a higher level the whole time, and that's what you want to see. There's not a lot of them on the market. That's a good thing for them as well. I think the print run is somewhere around 1,000 for that book.
That's kind of what I got out of Chris when he was on our show. That was his ballpark idea.
Yeah, and I can't get a true number. I've actually got a meeting with Mark set up next week, so I hope to get the true number on the print run for that one by then. But another factor it's got going for it is Mauricio in there. That's his first artwork in a comic book. I mean, I think that's one that's it's gonna have some staying power.
If he doesn't get other jobs, then this whole industry should be ashamed of themselves because
dude, he's unreal. I mean, if you look at that book and like take a minute and just like look at it, it's mind blowing. I mean, I posted pictures on Instagram of it, and it makes your jaw drop literally. And I mean, it's one to watch out for sure. And I mean, another one, like I said, if I had to pick the 3. I know it's gone down a little bit right now, but I'm kind of on the Punchline bandwagon too, from Antarctic. It's a good series. The artwork is good in it, and it has a crossover coming supposedly with Rags and Black Hops, which is another Antarctic Press title. I mean, there's just so many factors in there, but if kind of I had to pick my 3 right now with the staying power, not just to get hot and fall back to earth, I mean, those are probably going to be my 3. And I know Antarctic Press is 2 of them, but that's kind of where I'm at.
It's good. The end of the back half of 2018 was Antarctic Press's year. I mean, I don't care who you are. That's in the indie world. It was their year.
No doubt. If you can argue no to that, I don't know what world you're in, but they did it. They had the right stories at the right time right there.
Yeah, I'm with you as far as the top 3. I mean, I'm definitely Rags. I think Knights of the Golden Sun. The thing I'm thinking about too is for long term because you guys are already you're looking at Rags #1. I don't know if it's still a $40 book or not. I don't look up that stuff very often, but let's just say it is, right? I know it kind of fluctuates with the whole controversy. What's that?
I want to say it's more than that, honestly, right now.
Okay, well, yeah, it may be, but the thing is if you're reading it, there's potential for further down the line with that storyline, whether it's a television, movie, some video game. I don't know, whatever it could be down the line, but I accidentally brought up the crossover when they were on our show. I guess it was. I told them, tell me if I'm not supposed to talk about something. And they didn't say anything, so I brought it up. But I mean, I think because I think I saw it on Patreon or something. And that's why I'm tricking my brain.
On my Instagram all over the place. So yeah, it's out there, I mean, and it's a lot of the. I get the creators not wanting to talk about it. I get it, I mean, there's so much information that's out there. If they don't know, sometimes it's coming. Yeah, it's
well, and he just said, yeah, there's talks about it, but we got to finish the story first, and I get it. Yeah, and that's fine.
That's a good answer. Brian and Trent, they're good guys. Like I said,
they are
caught up in a big whirlwind that they just didn't really know what was going on, and now I think that they've come full circle and made it right for sure. So I hope all the people that were aggravated with them or mad with them can kind of watch that video they did and see that hey, everybody's human, everybody makes mistakes, and they're all better for it. Yeah.
So I would add my, I guess, long-term book that's a great series already, but it keeps going, and that's A Walk Through Hell.
Oh yeah.
If you guys are reading this from Aftershock Comics, and another we haven't really touched on Aftershock at all. We've been talking about all these even smaller, but Aftershock is still an indie company, and they're putting out books every month. But I'm digging the hell out of the story.
100%. Aftershock, man, Aftershock sold me on when they came out with Animosity. I don't know if you read that. I mean, that is a great series, still ongoing. I mean, it's off the chain. I mean, if you can read the early issues of that right on through, do it. I'm telling you, it's great. That the great thing about the Walk Through Hell, not only is it a great story, that issue that you just held up right there, though, contains the 4-page preview to Lost City Explorers. Okay, so if Lost City Explorers, which is already optioned, as is A Walk Through Hell is optioned, those two take off. That book you got right there in your hand, I mean, that's going to be a hot book. Lost City Explorers is billed as a new Goonies or something like that.
Yeah. I missed the boat on it, but I know what you're talking about.
It's unreal. I know Aftershock just ran a big sale on their website, and I was able to pick up a couple CBCS 9.8 Walk Through Hell for $25, Lost City Explorers for $25, and I'm telling you, man, those books like that, you never know. I mean, they're great stories in itself, and from a speculation standpoint, it's a whole nother ballgame. Like you said, A Walk Through Hell is a great story. Anytime a book can make you sit on the edge of your seat or the hair stand up on your arms, they're doing it right. Garth Ennis, he's definitely knocked it out the park on that one for sure.
Sorry, my chat had froze. I was like, no one's talking, but then I realized it was frozen. So
it's got my computer here.
Well, so just going back really quick, this part that I missed. Ed D put in the chat that there's 1,023 Rags #1s out there. The correction is there's 1,023 print on demand Patreon copies, not the association, not the AP version.
That's right.
The AP version was 700 print run.
And the Patreon version, there's another Patreon version that is like the real deal. And that one, I mean, I don't even guess what the print run was on that one. I think it's like something like 100 and something. So
yeah, it was only because he only had 100 something Patrons when he did that.
Yeah. So I mean, and like they said in that video with Comic Con, I mean, you think about those numbers right there, and even though it's got the word print on demand attached to it, 1,023 is just, I mean, that's minute in the whole scheme of things. So it's that's definitely one to have. I mean, even though it has the label print on demand to it, don't sleep on that for sure.
All right, I'll be right back. I had to forget I grabbed my charger for the computer.
Hey, you're good, man. You're good.
But yeah, they I end up like doing, I don't know, several copies of the print on demand. just to give away to people that watch our show or that missed out. So I gave all mine away for people that missed out on the original print. Which I did. I did actually.
And I mean that's what Brian intended him to be for. I mean that's kind of what he was going for. Of, hey, if you want this thing, and I get where he's coming from too on the fact of the digital version it's different than the printed version. I mean, I've read comics digitally, and reading comics digitally is not reading comics.
I agree.
It's tough, I mean, it's a whole different ballgame. So I totally get where he was coming from on everything. I mean, I get where the other side was coming from on everything. So I'm just glad everything worked out on that deal. But in the end, yes, even 1,023. I mean, think about that number. That's tiny. So a book that says print on demand is gonna. I mean, that's no print on demand book.
Yeah, that's. I mean, yeah. The print runs are still just crazy low. I was like I said, I've been lucky enough to get the Patreon books and stuff like that just for my wall. Basically, I have my. You'll see a theme on my wall. Mostly, it's a redhead wall.
Looks good.
It's just except for my giant magic commission there in the middle. But
hey, it's nice. It's nice. You got a nice setup, man. Appreciate you having me on here for sure.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, you have any other books you want to throw out there before we sign off tonight?
Yeah, I think we've covered pretty much everything there. I mean, it's a revolving door. There's a new big one every week, in my opinion. And like I say, it's just a matter of if people like me and you can spread the word on them enough to get it out there to where people actually can go try and find it and read it. That's the main thing.
It is, and someone else brought up Black Badge. Bake the Snake brought up Black Badge. That's a cool book.
That is an unbelievable book. I'm glad he did. That is one that and I'll name two right here before I go. If you're looking for books to read, Black Badge is great. It's almost got a Red Dawn feel of the younger kids getting involved in war type stories. It's great. That's one that it's a home run. You need to be reading that one for sure. Another one is Juke Joint. I don't know if anybody is on that. It's an Image title, and it's moving to say the least. It's got a writer that has been through some domestic abuse type situations, and that book is pretty much about that. And if you're going to read one, that's another one. And Death Orb. That's, if I got to say one more, that's one from Dark Horse Comics, written by L. Aragon, and it's good. It's a kind of like a revenge story. God, apocalypse world. Guy's lost his wife and kid, and he's trying to find who did it, and he's going to get to the bottom of it one or the other. Those are three right there. If you're looking for something to read, go hit those three because they do not disappoint.
Yeah, I know. I've heard good things about Juke Joint. I didn't jump on it because I thought the name was weird. Just be honest. Like when I was going through, I was like, "That's a weird name." But I should have because don't judge a book by its cover.
It's good. Give it a shot. It's one that it'll speak to you.
I'll pick up the trade.
Knowing where it came from, it makes the words carry a whole lot more weight.
Sure. And Image always does a great job with their first trades, always $10. So yes, I'll pick up the trade if you guys are.
Speaking of trades, if you're looking for good trades coming out this week, Midnight Task Force from Mad Cave. It's that's a good series written by Mark London. Once again, the art in there is mind blowing. The Mad Cave's got it. They got it going on. But yeah, it's Midnight Task Force. Definitely check that one out if you're into some ones that'll make you think. That's one. Yeah. In the end, it's almost like a Vanilla Sky. Did it happen or did it not?
Oh, great!
Right.
No.
It doesn't leave you hanging quite as bad, but it kind of does.
Well, right on, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me tonight. Enjoy the chat, and I love the like-mindedness that we have. So it's a no-brainer for me.
I appreciate you having me on, and like I said, anytime, man. I think we both got the same goal in mind here, just to bring awareness to the indie world, and that's the main thing. It helps out everybody.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about. And you guys in the chat, thank you for hanging out with us tonight and watching and listening and throwing your thoughts and stuff in the chat. Appreciate that. Make sure you click on his Instagram, follow him up over there. He does post something almost every day, I think, maybe multiple times a day. I don't know.
Yeah, we try to go once a day. We claim daily updates, but sometimes we'll hit 3 in one day and miss a day. But
yeah,
we're trying for sure.
I'm the same. It's like I got to remind myself, post something, stay relevant.
That's it. Once you see your followers will start dropping, it's like, oh my, all right, I got to do something here. So yeah, no, I get it, and like I say, man, I appreciate the opportunity to get on here and talk about indies. It helps everybody, and like I say, we share the same passion for sure.
Right on. And you guys, I also put a link to his article on CBSI if you guys want to click on that. And it comes out every week. What days it come out?
It comes out on Tuesday. So it's Tuesday morning when you're waking up. It's usually up there 7 o'clock every morning. So yeah, make sure and check it out. And I try and give you pretty much every book that's releasing that next day in the indie world. I may miss a few here and there, but yeah, I pretty much try and hit them all. So yeah, check us out, man, and I appreciate it.
I definitely give my stamp of approval. I get it in my email. I'm like, click. First thing I do. FSE Andy. I'm like, oh, gotta read that.
Thank you.
You bet, man. And you guys have a great night. We'll see you guys Thursday night at 9 p.m. Central with Comics and Cold Ones. Maybe with a guest, maybe not.
Tune in.
Bye.